four of them are firing at once. So
I love that.
this will give a lot of flexibility to how people run their loadouts and how they create things and how they actually use them too, right? Hey guys, welcome episode 4 or 5, something like that, of the our Devlog, Avant-Garde Devlogs. Today, again, Corey, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. You're helping us kind of showcase this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I would love to show a bit of the attachment system for Avant-Garde. We kind of have a lot of it's still ugly in terms of the UI, but I'd love to just kind of get right in there and show you some of what you could potentially do with these exoskeletons and how attachments will work. Let me dive right in. Okay, so here we are. We're in kind of one of the latest builds of the prototype. And it was on the last devlog, we kind of went over the whole possession system and how we kind of can possess different robots with our AI. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into one of these. The Scout.
Scout, yeah.
For the attachment system, in attachments in general, you can pick up through looting a dead body, a dead player. There's going to be some, potentially in multiplayer, there could be potentially be some switching of attachments or dropping. The whole attachment system is it's prevalent in both the multiplayer and the kind of the co-op and single player. So attachments you can find in the world, you can craft, you can get off of people or players, dead players, and when you pick them up, they will go into either kind of a global storage or kind of your exoskeleton's internal storage. So your little AI bot doesn't, as of right now, it doesn't have a storage, so you actually have to kind of be cognizant when you're equipping stuff. But the bigger exoskeletons do obviously have space. As you can see here, there's slots for them to slip their attachments in, and there's also internal storage. As you can see here, each of the attachments has there's all sorts of different stats here on these attachments. You know, the damage per second, the damage range. All of these stats you see here are totally modifiable through crafting or whatever means of manipulation. So every single attachment in this game is going to be absolutely unique. It's the kind of thing where you use better resources. The resources themselves have varying levels of stats. So we're gonna have a whole thing on the resource system in the future once that's fleshed out more. I can't wait to show it. But point being, like for instance, like better conductivity on a material might help with the firing rate, right? Having a better firing rate on the attachment. So you'll be able to squeeze out some extra stats. Higher quality attachments, you might, like this is a 93% accuracy. You're getting 3.3 shots per second, right? You might work that up to 3.9 or 4.2, right? So it's not gonna be like something ridiculous, like higher quality is gonna be like 56. It's not gonna be a lot to really sway like battles, like multiplayer battles, but higher quality stuff, you will start to be able to eke out the edge on these stats. But the big takeaway is that I almost interrupted you. The big takeaway is that all of these attachments will be unique.
So during the course of, say, multiplayer, how do you see the sort of inheritance of the attachments will sort of play out? Do you see the sort of exo just spitting out weapons in it, like gear everywhere, or is it something where you pick it up and you have what that person had right away?
We're playing with a lot of ideas, and yes, spewing out of dead exoskeletons is definitely one of the things we're considering the exoskeletons themselves blow up. So as far as multiplayer, there might be a mode where it's like safe and you don't, right, the rewards won't be as high, but it might be safe and you won't lose anything, but you could, maybe there's a higher, depending on what game mode, there could be some of your, if you choose to go into a battle with maybe higher level attachments or attachments you've been saving, right, there could be a chance that you would lose them, and maybe all of them, maybe everything gets dumped when you die, all your attachments, but I'd probably not. More likely it'll be something like the area in which you were hit, for instance, like, you know what I mean? Like if someone's really focusing on your left arm and you have a left arm attachment, like maybe there's a higher probability that that'll pop out, right, and you might lose it. Still working all that out, but all these are concepts that we're kind of throwing away. So the idea for multiplayer is you would be able to preload going into a match, or you would have exoskeletons, in the base, right, that you can call in through support, right? They come down, superhero pose land, and you jump in, right? So you could you can set all the loadouts for them ahead of time. Like you have basically your arsenal of exoskeletons, right? That you could call in, and all your attachments are in your base or whatever, and you can assign it to your exoskeletons appropriately. So they'll be as such when you call them in. So that's another potential as well. You could find exoskeletons in the world just broken down maybe, or maybe they need repair, or maybe there's a repair tool, right? And they might have attachments already on them, randomly spawned, and you might find something awesome in there that you can rip out and take with you, you know? So a lot of possibilities, especially in multiplayer and single player. We're considering both of these, so.
Excellent to hear.
And as you can see, so there's two concepts I want to drive home here. And the first is the idea of firing groups. So you'll see, for instance, there's the two slots here. In each slot, you'll notice has two positions. And again, this is just rudimentary UI, just for functionality. So I can actually throw these in. I can throw this high missile launcher into each of those slots within the left chest launcher. So when I'm out and about in the world, right, I can cycle through those two slots in my left chest launcher, right? So this isn't just like one weapon per slot, right? These are arsenals. These things can hold an arsenal. So
this sort of gave me an idea that might be kind of fun in terms of a skill that could be added here is that you have different firing groups that sort of fire on different skills and are good for different situations. It would be nice to have at least one attachment that identifies that for you and auto switches to that gear.
Yeah, 100%. You're talking about situational.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely.
Situational awareness, yeah.
100%, and maybe that's even a skill, or maybe that's something that's learned, or I don't know. There's a ton of brainstorming that can be done around that. It could even be AI driven. We've already been messing with some of that, so maybe there's a learning, some sort of learning model right inside the system. So your AI is actually being driven by AI so in real life. Lot of opportunity there, fully contextual for sure. Firing groups is the first thing I really quickly want to mention. So with these big arsenals, right, there comes great responsibility almost, right? Because this could almost be a situation where it's like an MMO where you have you're pressing 1 through 6 to fire all the different things, right? We've taken some inspiration from kind of the later MechWarrior series, especially MechWarrior 4, where they had this concept of firing groups. And the firing groups are essentially, right, so right now I have both my chest launchers in this front firing group, right? And the firing group 1 is attached to my left mouse button. So when I press my left mouse button, both of my chest launchers. So right now this is totally free and open. So you can assign whatever to whatever firing group, right? So I could even come in here and move my left shoulder guns up into my firing group 1. So now if I press my left mouse button, you'll see everything literally. All four of them are firing at once. So
I love that.
This will give a lot of flexibility to how people run their loadouts and how they create things and how they actually use them too, right? People are comfortable using different buttons and 1s and 2s, the left mouse button, middle mouse button. So they'll be able to group those up a lot easier and a lot more manageable. The second thing I want to expose is the you'll notice if I right click right now, it's just a right click, but you'll notice, and these are all this is all just a placeholder here. But if you right click on the attachment, you'll notice there's actual options for these attachments. And we're playing with a lot of ideas here. So for instance, this is a small Spitfire launcher. They're very quick firing missiles, right? And they have a range of, what's the range on this one? This one happens to be 115.26 meters, right? So if I right click on it, we're gonna start exposing different options in these attachments. So it even gets the flexibility on these attachments, not only the stats, the range of stats and the uniqueness, all the options that they're not going to be a million options, right? There's going to be, more than likely, the options themselves might even be randomly generated, right? Or a weighted generation. Stuff that we could possibly expose is like auto detonation. So once it gets to the 115 meters, it automatically detonates, right? Which is a different skill than it fizzles out at 115 and then gravity takes it down, right? So it's a different experience. Do you want to create a firewall that they can't get by where everything explodes at 115 meters? Or do you want to try to go for more range? Or do you want to try to arc up and try to aim for 150 meters out, right? It's not in your range, but you could still, if you turn auto detonate off, you'll be able to fire them longer, right? It won't be as accurate, but there'll be a chance you can kind of extend your range there. So a lot of strategy and skills kind of into this. Activation type, it could be playing with those too, whether you hold it or whether it's click or burst fire or charge fire and let go, you know. There could be trade-offs. So we could even allow you to reduce the range for firing rate, right? So we might start playing with you kind of fine-tuning these things, and alongside kind of trading off like one stat for another, like range and fire weight, we're also playing with the idea of weighting all or several stats at the same time. So we don't have kind of a UI for it yet, but imagine, if you will, 3-point triangle, right? Or a pentagram, 5-point pentagram. And at the tip of each of those is a stat, right? So there's hit rate, or there's damage, and there's up here, and there's fire rate here, and range here, and inside you have a little marker, right? And you can move it anywhere inside that pentagram or that triangle toward each of those, right? But as you go toward this point, you're getting further away from the stat down here, right? So it's
okay. So but it would make the trade-offs very apparent.
Yeah, 100%, right? And you'll see it, because down you'll see reserved for stat display at the bottom there. You'll see it real time, right? You'll see all the stats go up and down as you're modifying it. And that's the idea anyway. It could be all the stats, or maybe it's just, again, some randomly generated or weighted generated. Maybe we choose 3 stats, or you happen to find or craft an attachment that allows you to weight these 3 stats or these 3 stats. So again, totally open. We don't. It's not. A lot of this is not going to be linear at all. It's going to be very free flowing, based on how you craft it or how you find it, or maybe just you have the most epic one that's ever been built, right? And I steal it from you in multiplayer. So I don't know. It's going to be fun. It'll definitely be fun. And then obviously I can give you something, Corey, or I can drop it in the world. So
gotta love the gift of giving.
That's kind of the concept, the basic concept behind attachments. And broadly, there's launchers, there's cannons, and there's different slots that these go into, right? There's deployables, like the shields you can deploy, or the forward barriers. There's the support stuff, so maybe I can call in a exoskeleton in the distance, or I can call down an orbital strike, or there's also internal stuff too, internal chips, right? So upgrade. I want to increase my speed. And maybe some of them increase the speed a lot, but have a reduction in firing time or something. You know what I mean? So there might be trade-offs on those too. But think of it as internal exoskeleton upgrades too. There's a lot going on with attachments. It took a lot of time to kind of get this together, but we got it to a scalable place where we can start kind of iterating and having a lot of different, start branching out on our attachments. So this system itself took a long time to put in place, but it's really, really starting to come together. I'm really excited that people get their hands on it.
Nice. It seems very flexible, and I really like that idea of being able to tweak everything about the gameplay so that it suits your play style.
Yep, and everything in single player and co-op, everything could just be unlocked. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to put any natural. There's natural balancing you have to do with multiplayer, right? But for a single player experience, like, we could just unlock this and everyone could just have fun with it, right? And we can just scale the AI and the difficulty and stuff around that, not restrict. Again, no artificial walls, right? Don't put up walls just for the sake of putting up walls. So that allows us to kind of do that. That's it for this devlog. Thank you, Corey, for kind of spitballing with me. I hope to see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.